I don't know. I don't know. There's so much more said today to us. We'll try our best to give you everything in the newspaper tomorrow. But this human being, I can say without a doubt, does not need to be on the streets any longer for the remaining of his life. And you know how old he is? 36 years old. Just 36 years old. So,
For a moment,
yeah.
we have had some technical difficulties with the live feed on the Facebook Live. So, for those of you who are rejoining us on the live, let me just reiterate. The discussion tonight on Kaieteur Radio's The Glenn Lall Show is on our lead story in the paper today. The headline is Spanish woman raped, sodomized, battered as neighbor rushed to get help. I am the moderator for tonight's proceedings, and we are also joined by a panel, journalist at Kaieteur News, Michaela Prince, activist Melly Mel, and another staffer at Kaieteur News, Miss Nalini Barker. Carry on.
Yes, I open the floor. I open the floor, ma'am.
When I read this story, I was very baffled as to how. Don't get me wrong. This is clearly a psychopath. He is cruel. He lives alone. Every night he taking. So obviously it's a habit.
Mm-hmm.
I am now that I've listened to what you just said. He's currently before the court for tying up and raping three Spanish women. Then a week after that, he was before the court for another incident. My thing is, why was this young man allowed back on the road? I can't get it. Another thing is how the police dealt with that victim that night. She said they threw her clothes at her and told her to get dressed.
Well, one of the I'm not correct. One of the neighbors said it wasn't so. She ran out with a bed sheet and wrapped her with it. And when the police came out with the clothes, they did throw it to her, but not to the girl, and tell the lady to help her dressed. That's why it was a little,
Okay,
weird. Yeah.
but then she said they arrested him. Why was this suspect released?
Well, I was told today, and I can only speak today, when we found out he was arrested, taken to the police station, but was subsequently released.
Why was he subsequently released?
I can't answer
Now that is what, because the situation, the circumstances at least indicated assault right there and then.
No, not more than that.
Well, that is me just putting it at the least mildly. The least the circumstances under which they found this young woman in. And let me just stress on this. I see a few people in the comments. I saw some people today were saying, "Oh, but she's a prostitute." I do not care that she was a prostitute. I don't care that she was a prostitute.
She's a human.
I don't care that she's a prostitute. And let me just stress on that. For those of you that keep saying, oh, well, it's a prostitute and she was paid. I don't care that this young woman was a prostitute. I don't care. That is not the issue. And that's the thing that's wrong with society. We encourage and we try to shame these victims.
Demoralized.
And it's not right. I don't care that she's a prostitute.
Yeah, but
nobody should be treated like that. Whether she's a
right.
prostitute, whether
That's
she's not,
right.
whether she's Guyanese or not. I don't care that she's from another country.
Correct.
At the end of the day, she's a woman.
She's
And
a
this
human
man
being.
is clearly a psychopath. I don't understand under what circumstances did the Guyana police force allowed him back on the street. He has three cases before the High Court. And just assaulted another Spanish young lady, and you arrested him and then released him under what circumstances? Was he on bail? I don't understand.
And then
I can't begin to I seriously can't begin to understand the incompetence of the Guyana police force when they're dealing with rape victim, molestation, and when they're dealing with domestic violence. I can't understand how they deal with these crimes against women and how they treat the victims. it's like you gotta basically beg them to do their job. And I'm sure that if this situation wasn't published in the newspaper and we didn't see it, and activists like other activists and women like myself didn't kick up a storm on social media, what would have happened? How many other victims that were afraid to say something, or that even went and make a report to the station about this very same young man that they just brushed under the rugs, and because they refused to do their jobs?
It is sad.
And it's sad, it's very, very sad that we as Guyanese, that we as women have to go on social media and call out the Guyana police force and cuss and carry on. Basically shame y'all to do something that you guys are there being paid to do. Taxpayer money are paying you monthly to do a job. And we basically have to go on social media and call y'all out, tag the Guyana police force and shame you on social media for you to go and arrest this young man today. Why was he even released?
Now we're finding out that the guy was a taxi driver, and that's where I shudder to think about the amount of women that he was exposed
the amount of women that he encountered while during his profession. Like how many? I won't be surprised if I hear stories upon stories start coming out about this young man.
Well, they're already coming out.
Because clearly this is not his first time, and I'm just curious as to, the neighbor. I heard Glenn, you said that you spoke to the neighbors and they said that they were afraid of him. But I'm like, haven't anyone made a report before? Like they don't call when they hear these screams.
No.
And if you're saying that most of his victims are Spanish victims, I'm guessing they can't speak English properly. They probably don't know the right channels to go. So he's been getting away with this for quite a while.
A long time.
Long time. He's been getting away with this.
Mel, this granny came, who lived next door to him. She came to the office today, and you had to see her action. How she was demonstrating when she go in front of the gate and look at him and shout at him, how he was taking his foot and stamping her in her head, in her chest. She said she couldn't help but shout and
because
he
she's
was
just
saying,
an older
leave her to him. And today when we went in, I was so happy that all the neighborhood, from the time they heard Kaieteur news here, they just came out. One cricketer, right? The cricketer came out and said, I was there, me and Granny was there. And I tried to jump the fence, but he had a knife in his hand, right? And they were both naked in the yard.
In the yard.
And he tried to jump the fence, but he hesitated because he had this knife in his hand. And he said he keeps shouting, and she said, come outside, leave the woman. And they started shouting. And, he said as he shouted, even neighborhood didn't come out. But he continued to shout. And when she got up, she run to the fence. He held her hand and helped her to jump the fence, scale the fence. And he took her. He said, Granny said when they tried to help her, it's like every moment she get blackout. She just falling on the roadside. Then he ran inside and he ran behind the house. It's where only when the police come, then he came out. But
so how was he allowed? I saw she mentioned in the article that he came to the ambulance door and he laughed and then went. How was he allowed to do all of that with members of the Guyana police force there? Who were these members of the Guyana police force that was present when this incident happened that allowed him to go? He just brutalized a woman, raped her, and allowed him to go to the ambulance door and laugh, and that's the last thing she remembered.
Yes, she said that. But Granny said when they closed the door, she give her a thumbs up, and the hand fell.
I would like to comment on her strength. I would like to comment on the woman's strength as a woman. And in a moment when you're going through such an ordeal, it is difficult to find strength. Maybe some sort of adrenaline was in her. And as a mother, I myself being a mother, it's, I can relate to her zest to live, her fight for life. And I heard in the reading of the story earlier, he's been encouraged to take even school girls to his home. How is he being allowed? I mean, we as neighbors or whoever, we need to be our brother's keeper and our sister's
Correct.
keepers. That when we see children, out of school within that certain time where they ought to be in school, you can't have them just walking around or entering private homes during school hours and not even calling in to welfare, calling in the police. Call some sort of authority and let them know that, X child is X place, seen that X doing something that is out of the ordinary. So I applaud her for her fight. I applaud her for bringing the story to the forefront, and making contact with the media and letting us know, putting a stop to him because she's his 24th victim, and he's taking account. It's out of. I really can't imagine like he's going through. It clearly shows he is probably proud of what he's doing. He has his
Because he's been getting
pattern.
away with it. It's he was gonna keep going and going.
Yes,
and going and going.
because he's now he's what we call
Serial.
a serial rapist.
Yes, the serial rapist.
And we need to put a stopping to these things. As a society, we need to look out for each other. And yes, the police.
First of all, as a society, we need to look out for each other. As a society, we need to look out for each other and stuff. But what we need to also do, we need to call out the Guyana Police Force on how they deal with matters. That is it, especially when it comes to victims of rape and molestation and these things. We definitely need to, because of how I don't know. I can't go in depth as to how the laws are set in Guyana as it relates to how the police deal with these matters. But from dealing with women that have been raped and taking them to the station, is sad how they have to. Sometimes the police try their best, but then there are protocols and there are rules that they have to follow.
Yes.
For instance, right now I am dealing with a 15-year-old who was impregnated by her own father in the hinterland areas. He sent her to town. It turns out that she's 7 months pregnant. So when I took her, because he sent her to a cousin over the river. So when I took her, when I saw the young lady, because I was doing hampers, so what I would do is I would always carry food stuff for the family. So I was doing my normally delivered food stuff, and I noticed this young Amerindian girl in the house. I've never seen her before, and I've been going there since the pandemic to deliver hampers and stuff. So I started questioning. I was like, who's this young lady? And, I started, because of course I'm curious. She looked young, and I swear when I look at this young lady, I couldn't tell that she was pregnant. So I started talking to the cousin, and the cousin mentioned that the father sent her down. I said, why? To spend time and stuff. Then I was just to spend time. So I said, are you in school? Have you been getting like the note? And then she started talking to me. She started telling me, yeah, she's in school. She's in third farm, and she want to become a teacher and stuff. So I asked why you came to town. And then the cousin said, she's pregnant. So I said, who's the father? And the cousin looked at me and started. And so the cousin looked at me and then looked at her. So I asked her. And this young lady started crying and telling me. And I can't understand how people, they tend to stress, that is their culture. This is what happened in Region 1. And this is, you would see these things happening. I can tell you, I sat there with that young lady for 3 hours. And she cried and cried and cried. She said her father started raping her. He put out the mother sometime last year. And since he put out the mother, he started raping her. So right there and then, I made contact with a friend of mine from Rights of the Child, Mr. Agrippa, and he told me, walk me through the process of what to do. I went to the Lenoria police station to make a report. When I went there to make a report, the officer was very nice. But when she was explaining to me, so I gave the report to the Lenoria police station. That was Thursday. We went back the next day, which was Friday. We had to take her to the hospital to do the medical and stuff. Turns out that she's 7 months pregnant. We took her to do the medical. That was Friday. Then we have Saturday, Sunday, then today, Monday. We took her back to CID today. Then we have to take her back again tomorrow. Meanwhile, the father haven't been arrested as yet. And not just that the father haven't been arrested as yet. He is home in the interior with 4 other young ladies in that house. Her other 4 sisters, the eldest being 12. Now I'm there thinking by the time they reach the arrest, because
She
she is
present
now
already.
because she is now out, and we have to wait because this thing happened in Region 1
protocol.
and it's out of their jurisdiction. We have to get an officer from Region 1 and the probation officer from the social welfare officer from Region 1. By the time they get to Region 1, the 12-year-old might be pregnant. Because this man is there, I'm studying these other 4 children, and he's there. How long before this man is arrested? How long before they arrest her father? We made a report Thursday. Today is Monday. We have to go back Tuesday. You have to do all these things, all these forensic,
Protocol,
all
all
these
the
forensic,
protocol,
all these
yes.
forensic evidence, all these things. Meanwhile, this man is there with 4 other young ladies. The eldest being 12. Her 4 sisters are there.
Well, let's see.
And I'm just like, how long do we? All right, we're doing all of this, but how long do we?
Do we
How long
take-
before this man is arrested? How long before you send a report to Region 1? How long before you make contact with an officer from Region 1 or a social worker from Region 1 to go to the house, at least visit and see what's happening with those children? And it's sad, like they drag their foot on everything. Everything you go is going back tomorrow. This officer was supposed to do this in there, the officer in there. Sometimes when I send, it's not just with rape victims. Sometimes when I send women of domestic violence to make report at the station, it's a whole drama. Oh, you again? I don't care if that victim come 10 times to the station to make a report. Take that report. That is your job. Do your job.
And for so long, so many women are being battered, being killed.
And they're still the only time, and I'm also very disappointed. Like I try to call it like we have to stop only kicking up a fuss or making a fuss when we open the papers and we see
every
another
day
woman
on a
have
daily
been killed.
basis, yes.
Her husband
Mel-
stabbed her or beat her.
That's the rape of a child, but that's the rape of a minor.
Mel, let me just add a piece to what I think is missing. We are blaming the police. This is a societal problem. This is not only a police or the social workers who are supposed to be helping you. The judicial service, the judiciary.
The laws are
You know, when-
for straight victims.
One second. When you let's go back to the same individual. He was charged for raping 2 women, tied them up,
Then another one
And
a week
then-
after.
and then you were sent on bail. 1 week after, this same individual is placed before the court for another raping.
Why was he gone?
Yeah.
And he went on bail again? I don't understand.
No, my point is, Mel, when you have neighbors and your residents that surrounds you can know this and see that this man is out the next week. Now,
See?
what are you telling the residents? What
I
are
get
you
the
telling
point.
me
I get the point.
as a
where
neighbor.
you're saying is that this
You know,
man.
this thing is not a police alone. Even police gets
They are
frustrated with it
Yes.
because police go to the length and breadth many times to catch a criminal, and when they appear
And then
before
the court.
the courts, they're placed on bail and they never return, and it's a heck to find them back. So it's a bigger issue that we have to look at and conquer.
Constitutional reform, Glenn.
Yes, just,
Yeah.
I was just
Constitutional reform and
Yes, thank you for that,
Sorry.
Melly.
Go ahead.
Just to add to what you said there, Mr. Lall, we have so many cases of young men and young women being sent to jail for a couple of grams of marijuana.
Yes.
Marijuana, you remanding somebody until the case comes back in courts. Months, sometimes years, you send somebody to prison for, and you have clear-cut cases of people being sexually assaulted, people being raped. You have the perpetrator in custody.
Going
And
on
for
bail.
some unknown reason, I cannot fathom it. You are releasing this individual, not one, not 2, not 3, but
how many?
4 times. This one individual. I
you,
cannot
you
understand
placed
that.
one rapist on bail 4 times.
He should have been a registered sex offender.
You know, a next
We don't
thing,
have a registry. That's another thing. We don't have a registry. We don't have a sex offender registry.
You know, a next thing will happen. Maybe this guy will be charged tomorrow for this, and it left there. No further investigation will be carried out about the allegations, neighbors, and even to the things he have said himself.
But what is
This my
DPP doing about
24th
these files?
victim.
I'm sure his files went to the DPP not 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time. I'm guessing another file will go to the DPP again. What happens? Okay, we charge them and what?
Yeah, but
we charge him and what?
Yeah, but
he goes on bail again.
Like I said, there of course if the DPP can only charge, it left to the magistrate or the judges, and if they grant bail, then we're back to square one. You know, so it's a combination of issues we got to look at. We just can't look at one part of it.
But clearly at this point, we need constitutional reform.
Yes, you need
We definitely need the laws to change as it relates to
Yes, of course.
these victims of rape, molestation, and all. We cannot keep sending these
In the-
pedophiles and rapists and all. We cannot keep putting them in normal society to dwell among
agree. I
children
agree with you.
and women and little boys and all these things. Again, back you just
I agree.
300,000. They're making the bail money, they're finding the bail money, and in some cases, when the bail is at 500,000, they go back to court the next time. The magistrate drop the bail again the next until they eventually could afford it and they come out.
In many countries, rapists, convicted rapists, they have rules and regulation for them.
Yes.
Sometimes they
And even if they're
the
out on
neighborhood-
bail, there are rules and regulations.
Yes.
They're monitored.
Yes.
Not only
We don't have
monitored,
that system in place.
they must know which area, which neighborhood you're going to live. And then the society are being informed.
Yes.
The village or the neighborhood are being informed. Well, listen, you have Glenn Lall here, who just been released from prison for rape. And they just inform you and tell you.
Yes,
The rapists have to return to the court or to the station every
Yes.
month to say, hey, how are you coming? What are you doing? Where are you working?
Exactly,
You know?
exactly. And should we put
Now you can't go get. I am surprised that a rapist can be allowed to fetch passengers, like drive minibuses and hire cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dealing with
You're
the
not allowed to
public.
go
No, you
again.
should
You're
not be
done.
allowed to do these
Pedophiles shouldn't be allowed to dwell among kids and all
Exactly.
those things.
Schools,
Yes.
parks, and
Schools
stuff
and-
like that.
and all
Keep
these
away.
things.
No, you're not
Keep
supposed to be going there.
I know of one man that was just charged for having sex with a 30-year-old. He was placed on bail. How much? $150,000. He out again among other little 13 and 12-year-old guard. His
Exactly.
picture was never released, so you don't know. Well, oh, this is a pedophile and he's here. So that at least you could warn mothers that that you're living
Be
next to a
careful,
pedophile. You're living next to a pedophile. Watch your kids around and
That's
watch
right.
your little girl child around.
That's
No,
right.
he out there 150,000 bail and waiting and not another thing, the time that these
The
case
take to
takes to
process,
try
yeah.
to process and to try and for a trial to start. Sometimes it's 2-3 years before the individual
long.
is actually sentenced
Something
for something that he admitted to doing, that all the evidence is there. Why are we waiting 2 and 3 and 4 years before this individual is sentenced? Within the 2 or 3 years, he probably molests how much other young girls or boys?
One staff member asked me today why was he released, and I said to her that well, it's an allegation, right? And it's okay if you want to release them if you know the individual and stuff like that, but in this case, Mel,
In this instance,
instance here, the police should have records of this man. The police should know, well, this man was charged already 3 times, but there is no system in place, and we are living in the 21st century, and cannot computerize a simple police force. It does not take much money to computerize that, but you know what? Our government find money, 60 and 70 million US dollars. Them say. They're buying this and they're buying drugs and they're buying this kind of thing. And build Marriott Hotel. Spend 200 million on an airport that doesn't have a flushing toilet. And this is the kind of things we need to look at.
And these are and I think this is where they need to be putting resources. You need to be putting resources
Exactly.
into this social, where we need more social
Yes,
welfare
yes, I
workers.
agree.
You need to be putting resources and equipment. You need to be equipping the Guyana Police Force resources. The Guyana Police Force never get vehicle. Every time you call a station, I could guarantee you the first thing, we don't have no vehicle.
You know, one guy.
Never get a police. I can't tell the last time I called a police station and they had a vehicle. Never, ever, ever,
And I
ever.
think
90% of the
more.
time you call any guy in the police, any station to complain about noise, news, anything, they never have an available vehicle. Never.
You know, 3 weeks ago, one guy came in my yard and he went into my neighbor's yard too. And we caught him. And the magistrate asked for a probation report on him. Right? Check on his background. And after 10 minutes, the police came back and said, nothing we have in record on him. As I left the police station, well, the magistrate sentenced him for both neighbors. And from the time I meet to the office, I was told that he was a prison officer. He served time in prison. It's
But they can't find anything on
It's
him.
not a forced offense. And I could, with a telephone call, I could get all these things. But the police could not find anything. Nothing. There's no record of these
Was he
type
even
of
looking?
things on people. So I don't know if they're looking, or I don't know if they have the system works in that way in which they can go and find it.
This is the
But no,
21st
they
century.
don't-
Everything is being
we don't have
computerized and is
nothing,
there.
nothing,
All the records or everything is there. Like I
What are
said,
we waiting
that is
for?
what they need to be pumping resources into the Guyana Police Force.
Exactly.
Ministry of Social Protection. Sometimes I tend to say like, oh, social office, the welfare officers are sometimes are not doing. But we can't, like somebody said, you can't give the welfare officer a basket for fetch water.
Correct. Correct.
You understand? Because there are so many things, so many cases that they have to deal with. Likewise, the Guyana Police Force as well. Like so many cases that come to them daily, and they have to deal with daily. It's a lot,
If I'm to
and they
ask
don't
you-
have the resources.
If I'm to ask you, Mel, and you, Mikhail, what you think, finding this chap guilty, you think he should ever see the light of the day on road?
Of course not. Of course, like no.
Glenn, that shouldn't even be a question.
No.
Because
Glenn,
the reason why I asked this.
He shouldn't be allowed to see it.
No. The reason why I asked this, I have seen and carried stories similar to this, in which they get 3 year and 4 year.
With
No.
four,
But
with
not to
three
this
other
extent.
with 3 other pending cases.
You'd be
Glenn, with
surprised.
3 other pending cases. This is what, the 4th?
You would be surprised if you look back at some of the cases that we would have reported on. Sometimes it depends on the
individual? Well, in
The
this
victims,
case, I would.
victims. Sometimes the victims are afraid to come forward.
No,
think-
because like I said before, the laws are there to frustrate the victims. You gotta be going to the station one time. Sometimes your case taking 2-3 years. One case have you every month. You go this month, you go 2 months after, 3 months after, because the laws are there to frustrate the victim, and that is why a lot of them get away, because you go in one. Sometimes 3 years, you're
3
going
years,
to
you-
you're going to
it's
slow.
court.
The system is too
For
slow.
one,
Frustrating.
it's
Yes.
frustrating. It frustrates you as a victim that's been raped.
Yes.
You want justice. You got to be going to court for 3 years. It's frustrating.
Even
So we need a speedy system then. We need a system that is going to speed up this
Again, we
process.
need to change the
And
laws.
we
We keep
yes.
saying constitutional reform. Certain cases, for instance, with him with three pending matter before, two in front of the High Court. You said, Glenn, with 3 pending matters.
Trial on 2.
And he
committed
was
to stand
released,
trial on
and he
2.
was released.
And release.
Another
Another one.
No, another case a week after, and then this is what the fourth Spanish victim.
Yeah.
This is fourth victim
Yes.
that he's before the court for. I'm guessing the other 20, because he said if he's saying that this is 24th, I'm guessing the other 20. I don't know if they went to this. I don't know if they ever made a report or they just didn't bother because they got out.
I think that's why we find a lot of these cases happening, but a lot of the victims do not want to come out because one, the system is broken. I would go to the police and like you have said multiple times, nothing will come out of it.
Yes.
Even if I do make a report and it ends up in the court, this person might walk free, as with the two initial cases you mentioned. And so the victims, whether it be sexual assault or rape, they are afraid to come out because the system does not protect me. The system does not fight for me. And it's very hard. It's heartbreaking to know that this is the country we live in.
And then we have people out there always trying to shame the victim
Oh,
and
God.
blame them and
Yeah.
why you didn't do this or why you didn't do
Yes.
that. Then
You-
then
the f-
there's
yes.
there's society.
Yeah. The
Then there are
first
members of
question-
society that's always there to victim
point out,
shame, like how they
yes.
point out today that
Yes.
she was a prostitute. That is
It
no
does not
excuse. We
matter.
don't care that she's a prostitute.
Some people.
I don't care that she's a prostitute.
Some people have made comments about Kaieteur News putting the woman face.
Yes, let
Well,
them see. This is what
No,
he did.
well, I want to tell those people that it was a decision by myself and many other the Kaieteur News staff. These pictures are not being done by a single individual, and all of them were women, with the exception of me there. And I was fully agreed in putting the photographs on the page because the victim wanted her photograph here.
And
She
and
begged-
kudos to her. Kudos to her.
Yes.
Thank you for coming forward.
Yes.
Thank you for putting it out there. Thank you for letting the public see this is what happened to you.
She-
Thank you for warning other young lady. Thank you for putting him
Yeah.
out there. I must say kudos to her because we always find victims. They're ashamed to come
Shame,
forward or
yes.
to show their face or to say things against their attacker because they're afraid of what
Stigmatized,
society
yeah, they're
or being
stigma-
stigmatized or
yes.
what society
When we
would-
asked her if we could put that photograph, she said it's already on my Facebook page.
Yes,
I put it
yes,
there. I want
yes,
the world
yes.
to see.
I'm happy.
I don't.
I'm happy she
she
did.
said I don't want that to happen to anybody else.
I'm happy
She's
she
a
did.
survivor.
I'm glad she
And
did.
at 12:30 last night when I went home, I shared that front page with a few people, and one of them had me until after 1, pleading with me, Lall, don't do that. It's against the law. I said, no, ma'am. The woman is begging, and I agree. She said, no, please, blur her face, because she's saying that it has an underlining factor for women as a whole when they see these things, the impact it carries on them who would have been raped and brutalized and stuff like that.
I mean, I kind
And
of.
you know what? I said, listen, all right. And we were back and forth. And I said, okay, call. I said, stop it, send it back, and redo that thing. If you see that woman, it's very graphic. But we just tried
We
to
had
hide
to
it.
blur-
Yeah,
we had
we
to
just
blur
tried to
some.
hide it because I wanted to please her too.
And I
right?
could understand. I could as a victim of abuse and rape and all of that, I can see. I can relate, and I tend to see where she was coming from, because it does happen. Sometimes I post stories on my foundation page, which is Jan. If you don't follow the page, go follow the page. I post stories of women who have been abused and raped and stuff, and sometimes victims would come into my inbox. Like I used to just post it and not say anything or give a warning before. Well, this story might entail, it might trigger, and it tends to trigger victims. It does. It tends to trigger victims, whether it's rape or domestic violence you're talking about. It tends to trigger victims. While I understand that we're trying to make the public aware of what's happening and this is what is going on,
careful.
and we need them to see the raw reality of
Reality.
what is happening to
Correct.
our women. It's still, you gotta kind of give and take. So that was a good move, Glenn.
But I just felt that I want to put that in.
Yeah, you just wanted them to see. You just wanted
because
people to see.
The staff agreed. Kemal, everybody was there.
Well,
We said,
Mr. Lall, let me just add some context to that decision, because I saw there was some uproar on Facebook, and there was also a statement from the Guyana Press Association about protecting the victim's identity. So yesterday when we were discussing this story, one of the things we do for serious stories like this is we call lawyers and officials who would advise us on what to do. So we had called an official at the Department of Public Prosecution. We asked them, we want to publish this photo. What is the way forward? So they advised us of protecting the victim's identity. We did not publish the name of the victim in it, and we ensured that we blurred photos that we posted.
But was she in agreement of having her picture posted just like that?
Yes.
She said she was okay with having the picture posted and that we should make some attempt to blur out identifying parts of it.
Okay,
Yes. And one of the...
Who said that?
The woman. So one of the things that she told the reporter who interviewed her was that it was very important for her to get these photos out because she wants to make sure that other women see and not to... so that they can... I don't want to say not put themselves in that position because that's an insensitive thing to say. Because what she's saying is she wants to make sure people see the monster that this man is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you cleared the air there, Kimal. But having said that, she said go on her Facebook page and she put the photo glaring with her face on it. So...
She was very brave.
And I
So-
commend her for her stance.
I'll ask you, Melly, because you're a social activist and you've had a lot of exposure to issues like this. In your activism, would you tell us what are the common themes you see across these sexual assault cases like these? And maybe try to identify what are the main deficiencies in our system that need to be corrected and what is the way forward?
Well, come on, like I said earlier, how I can't stress enough on how the Guyana police force again deals with these situations,
Yes.
deal with victims, like how they question a victim that have been raped. I've sat there, and I'm not calling out anybody, but I sat there and I listened to an officer one time speak to a young lady. What your father do you? Just like that.
Yeah. To a little girl.
To a little girl, like it's not like it's just you. And training, first of all, they need training. We need a special victim unit. We definitely Guyana's definitely in need of a special victim
And
unit.
a well-trained one.
Well-trained policemen and women, especially women, that deals specifically
With such issues.
with these issues. Because clearly when you go to the station, you just go to because you have to make the report at the station that is closest to where you're living. You just go to a station, and then any officer is there just taking your report. All right, sit down there, coming just now. And they sit down there, and then they come. What happened, girl? What would the man do you? That's how officers are talking to victims that have been raped that are going to the station to make a police report.
One night,
And children, that's how they're questioning children. They have no training, none whatsoever.
a few years back, one night I went to the station, Rhineville Police Station, and a girl came upstairs. Her face was so swollen, and the policewoman asked her, what you come here for? And she said, my husband cuffed me up and slapped me up. And she was the only female, and the male respond, so what if you get a couple slap? Girl, look along your way home, yeah? And I stood there and I didn't say a word. I was waiting to see the reaction of the female policewoman. And the woman left and walked down the
I'm sorry again, I couldn't have not say
okay.
anything. I would have
Wait,
upstairs right
so
there
I
and then.
asked, when she walked down, I asked the female officer, I said, wait, aren't you a woman? Just like that woman? And you stand here and allow your colleagues, male colleagues, to talk to her and chase that woman like that? And she ran downstairs and called back the woman and took the report. And I felt so good, and I really went on with the policemen.
No, you don't do
I
that.
said, wait, man. I said, wait, you guys don't have sisters? You don't have nieces? You don't have no love for them? or it's okay for their man or their husband to kick them and brutalize them.
No,
And you know-
their excuse is, oh, this come to the station studying and still y'all
No.
always coming to make a report and y'all just going to take back the man.
A matter of fact, from that
I don't
night,
care if they came to make a report, take the report.
yes, but from that night, a matter of fact, me and that policeman are friends on to know one of them. He said he really appreciate what I did, and it comes back to training, right? That's why I said the unit must be well trained.
Trained.
If policemen and women are not trained properly,
And not equipped. They're not trained and not equipped to deal with these matters.
no,
Then it's
You
just
see, there are certain social issues, right, in domestic issues that because of different culture, okay, we see what you can take as a woman from your man or your husband, right? Michaela may not take it because you come from two different
come from two
upbringing,
different
two
upbringings.
different
Yeah.
background, two different culture, right? So this girl, when she went, she said, "No, this is not what I can take. If you can give your wife that, or you allow your sister to take that, then that's your problem. My problem, I can't take that." And she was very vocal when she came back. But she said she wasn't going anywhere. She was going to Brickdam police station to make an official complaint against them. But it's a
Yeah,
good
and,
thing. It's a good
like
thing,
she
yeah.
should.
Yeah, but she know her rights, and
As she should.
She know what she can handle and what she can take. So I was really proud of her. So we have to, all these are things we got to take into consideration. If they're not properly trained, right? You don't have to be trained at home. The police force must have a
Special
special
training
training
unit.
because
And not only that, they have police. I know of a few police that are abusing their spouses, and every time they go to the station to make a report, their colleagues are not taking the
Yes,
report.
yes.
That is another issue that we need to look at.
Yeah.
That uniform don't protect you from being an abuser, from being
Yes,
abusing your
abuser,
wife.
yeah.
No, why aren't or because one person said to me, oh, she tried to make a report on numerous occasions, and his colleagues never took the report. They always refer her, oh, you need to go and talk to so-and-so sergeant, go and complain to your boss. No, if she's there to make a report, take
it.
the report.
Take it.
Why does that uniform makes him any different?
But yeah, we put a police shoot his wife, or shoot his wife a week or two ago. And not or kill his wife. So
Yeah, we have police
Police
officers
are
that are
abusers, so-
assaulting and abusing
They
their spouses and their partner, their wife.
Kimal, you want to take a telephone call?
I'm not sure. Would you have telephone calls on the line? Okay, let me open the line and I'll tell you if people are calling. For the folks who want to make an input, you can call 226-7453. I'll repeat that, 226-7453. We are also... Oh, someone is calling right away. Let's go.
67453. I'll repeat that.
Caller, you are on Kaieteur Radio. Good night.
Hi, good night. I very much appreciate the information that they're putting out to the public, and it's really feel me because I'm a person of 5 children. I have 3 daughters. One was listening with me while this program is on. So I very much appreciate it. But then I want to ask this question. Why the police lose him that night? There's one. And I think the guy picture need to put up for all to see. And next thing, I think the police get paid that night. They know him. Another question.
No. Nah, don't don't say that, man. Don't say that.
Okay.
It's something you can't
We
verify.
can't verify, but
Because-
like you, we
And
would like
like
to
I-
know under what circumstances,
What I'm
circumstances this young
what-
man was released. Was he placed on bail? Did we
Why they
know
lose
if he was
him?
placed on
They-
bail?
wha-
How much bail?
Why they lose him the night that he abused the Spanish woman?
Well,
That
well,
why
Well,
they
that
lose him?
remains a question for the guy in the police force to answer.
So fast, so that he could go to the ambulance and smile to her. The next, which judge or magistrate dealt with his case? I think something need And with these taxi drivers, I think something needs to be done for a proper identification of these taxi drivers.
I agree.
Yes, I agree.
You know,
And I think this program here also is sending a message to the Home Affairs Minister.
Yes.
Something needs to be, a good system needs to be implemented in the police force.
Totally agree with you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, and it brings us back to the whole sex offenders registry conversation. What kind of jobs you are allowed to take, what areas you should not be allowed to go into.
Well, if you've been exactly, because they send them to what? Some of them get what? 15 years, 10 years for having sex with a minor.
All right.
I've seen some of them get 8 years.
It's really minimum.
It's
And,
minimum and
with this slow,
Take it.
slow process of
All right.
them.
Another caller on the line. Good night. You are on to Kaieteur Radio.
Hello, good night, Kaieteur News.
Good-
And congratulations to Mr. Lall and his team.
Thank
First
you.
thing I must say, I wish that this program should be a continuous program.
Thank you.
And the next thing I would like to say, they have to start with this school by parliament, where you see the gut. It looks so disgusting when I looked at it as a citizen of this country. Come on, my children sit down and watching this thing here. You know, it is so disgusting to hear big people like these behaving like this in parliament. The next thing we need a Nancy Pelosi speaker,
Yep.
right?
Somebody who's very
I'm telling you that. And these things are so disgusting. I can't see. They're supposed to make the laws, and they're breaking the laws as far as I'm concerned, that causing all of these things in this country. Look with that girl, what that guy did to that woman. Mr. Lall, I got girl children, and I telling you, I don't know. I'm telling you the truth.
Hold back the part.
Things
Hold,
like that, Mr. Lall.
hold back the part. I know.
Yes,
I know.
yeah. I telling you, Mr. Lall, I didn't know, but I they going to court with a lawyer for represent me.
I hear you. I hear you.
Good.
I hear you.
Yes, Mr.
Thank
Lall.
you. Thank
Anyhow,
you.
Mr. Lall, thank you very much for giving me this privilege to talk.
Thank you.
And you know me very well. I know you from since in the 80s as a waterfront worker.
Okay.
And the other day I was listening when a woman was trying to tell you something concerning when you were speaking about this oil and this and trying to, you know. But she don't know you, Mr. Lall. You don't want anything. You trying to help people in this country. And these people, I won't say they're blind, they're dumb, according to white people. You understand, Mr. Lall? Anyhow, thank you very
thank
much,
you.
and I hope you're listening to
Thank
the
you,
dumb.
brother. Thank you.
You understand?
Thank you. You know, the caller made a very good input there, and that is one of the topic I wanted to touch on. What's going on in Parliament, and I must tell you, guys, that a lot of pulling up has already taken place. The speaker has finally found his voice. That he has circulated a memo in Parliament, instructing them, informing them, telling them what is and what is not accepted in Parliament. And I felt very good. I wanted to talk about that, but we're focused on this rape victim. So just to let you know, because you asked.
Another caller is on the line. Good night, caller. You are on to Kaieteur Radio. Caller, before you continue, I just wanted to make a note of the persons on the Facebook Live and who will be calling us in the future. We are seeing some very... Okay, I'll continue. We lost that caller. I'm seeing some very disgusting comments on the Facebook Live, and some persons taking this and making it into APNO or PPP talk. I am monitoring. I'll be deleting comments, and we can ban you if you persist. And if you call, we're not going to entertain any sort of defense of serial rapists or any sort of victim blaming. So proceed.
Who knows? Maybe it's one of their relatives, or some other rapists.
We have another caller on the line. Caller, you're on to Kaieteur Radio. Good night.
I know this program making up for the program that didn't come on today at 1400 hours, but it's a good thing it happened soon, brother.
Thank you.
You see this thing what's going on? We have to have faith. And that man look, I cry. You know why? Because my mother got killed in 1951 in the same conditions like this. And it took me years to find my mother, my brother, in fact. I don't know my family. I used to talk to Leonard Gildari, and he said he had a similar problem, not that his mother was killed, but we was talking these things. In New Amsterdam, the post office girls experiencing a problem. There's a tall guy, and this thing was being reported to the station, walking around places, seeing small girl children, and he just taking out his private and shaking it here and there. I don't know, the police come long after. Other thing, sisters on the East Bank, when you go to make up a report there, they don't take it because the station up there is a family location. Thank you, sir.
Mel?
Wow.
Yes.
That call is very emotional. I can understand. Again, the Guyana Police Force.
How do you deal with these type of emotions? It's very difficult.
Sensitively trained in dealing with victims.
It's very difficult to deal with these type of
No, but the Ghana police force really
issues,
sensitively trained to deal with victims.
emotional issues. You know, the guy was very emotional.
And that's it. We shouldn't have to, because there are systems in place, or there should be working systems in place to handle these sorts of things, and those systems are failing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another caller on the line. Hi, you are on to Kaieteur Radio.
Hi, good night to you folks.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, just before I start, let me say this. What happened to that young lady is a dastardly, a horrible, a terrible act, right?
Mm-hmm.
And anybody with a heart would say that should happen at all. That should never take place. But let me point out one thing, and it's concerning our judiciary. There was once a case where a man was caught in camera with a gun in his hand, came with his gun, shot another man, and he died. People around know the individual, and when he went to court, you know what happened? He got off, and the video was there. So this is rape, and that was murder. I mean, I can't equate the two, but oh gosh, our judiciary. You understand? We have to address our constitution, and we have to make those people that call themselves leaders know that they are servants of the people and not lords over the people.
Correct.
Right back to
Yeah,
Correct.
indeed.
But sometimes, my friend, you know, you can see these things, but the evidence that is being led in court, especially if the persons who witness these things does not show up in court, you can't convict an individual.
I understand it.
So the judiciary is a very tough one for us to.
It has to be
handle.
Because they know the law don't protect them. Them coming forward and giving evidence,
Yeah.
the law doesn't protect them.
Yeah.
So they're afraid to come forward.
Many of the judges and the magistrates, having heard some cases, know they
But
know
before,
that
I
people
might
are
cut off
guilty.
just now, but let me explain something, right? You know, as part of judiciary now, social media, and when you have things that are recorded and played around, so various people can see clearly this individual, that should lend some voice and weight to the decisions, you know?
Yes, in this technological era, we can snap a picture quickly, do a recording, and have it as evidence.
I know.
Evidence.
I understand. But if we all could remember the case that the individual came out and shot the man, and people down around there saw, and he was a famous individual here. Well, it's famous, he had a celebrity status, and he said he was a cricketer.
Thank you. We wanted to stick on this
No, but
on this woman
equate what
issue.
happened there with more than what's going on in our judiciary there. And stress on this should be, the title should not be president, it should be chief servant of the people, and it must done meritoriously, not by title. Thank you very much.
I hear you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller. So one of the things I think that we should try to take lessons from some of our counterpart countries from is that Guyana does not have required legislation to deal with protecting persons who are in the sex work profession. And we are direly in
Is
need.
it legal?
Well, that's the thing, first of all. It's not legal.
Is it
No, I don't think it's legal.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, we know it's happening and we know it's there. And I mean, the police don't give them I don't think that the police give them a hassle or anything like that. But I mean, it's illegal, but it's illegal and legal at the same time because it's not like the police go out there and try to chase them off. The only time they would do that is if they had an incident occur and they need them to be if there's a fight or anything. But other than that, they allow them to go about their normal business.
All right, let's put that conversation on hold. We have a caller on air. Good night, caller. You're on to Kaieteur Radio.
Hi, good night. I'm calling pertaining to the incident with the woman that got raped. What I think, it doesn't matter what job she was doing or the circumstance under what the situation was. I felt as though the line that I read that caught my attention was when she said that the neighbors were watching on and the man told them that, oh, this is my woman. Y'all keep out of this. That is ridiculous. As neighbors, we're supposed to have each other back. If we had stabbed her and killed her, was that what we were waiting for as a society? Whether it's a man or a woman being abused, we need to stand our grounds and learn and know when to say, stop, this is enough, and call the cops and intervene. Because we can't watch our men and women life go down the drain because we want to turn a blind eye to the stuff that is happening. And at too many times, stuff like these happen and the police just release someone and just send them on their way without getting the full background information. What were their grounds on releasing that man that night of the incident? The proper way was to take both of them in, let her go get her medical attention and get the full information on the story of what happened, what led to this, rather than releasing him. Exactly. And indeed, you're right. We do need a special victims unit in Guyana, a team fully equipped to handle situations like this. Because going to the station and telling, oh, this is what happened, and having a response where they make you feel like you're the bad person. Oh, well, I should take this and be okay with it. It's never right. And there won't be a change unless we as a society change when stuff like this happens, and the police force better equipped with situations like this.
I hear you. Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
One of the commenters on our Facebook Live says, as a former member of the Guyana Police Force, I'll say this. Policemen are allowed too much flexibility as it relates to what matters to deal with and who to arrest. He says there are procedures, but individual police are allowed to make decisions without having to report it. He says his point is there must be a procedure where all matters are referred to the station sergeants and they make the decision. The sergeants will act accordingly as they will be afraid of losing their positions.
I agree with you, but Kimala, go back to I agree with that ex-cop. I want to touch back on the girl that spoke there just now.
Yes.
She talked about neighbors standing and watching. I just want to let her know that the neighbors standing and watching, they couldn't do anything. This is a neighbor who was at the time was very violent. He was naked, and the woman was naked and holding her hand. I give kudos to the cricketer, a young man who went there and stood up and wanted to jump the fence in providing assistance to that girl. But when he saw the knife in his hands, and also the grandmother that came out and shouted at him and refused to move and was shaking down the gate. You know, there are people who would come out, but you have to understand and realize that when people are afraid, they can only look and give a statement. They're just afraid. It's life.
Yeah, they would back off.
They would back off. Well, exactly. Especially when you know as a neighbor that he has been charged for rape, he went to jail,
And get back.
and then they walk in
Yeah.
the road and continue doing this. They're just afraid he's being protected. You know?
Mhm.
Take the call.
Caller, did we lose that caller? All right, that's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
so when if you have a neighbor who feels that they're being
The person is
protected,
being
you
protected.
wanna keep your mouth
You wanna
shut.
keep
You
your
know what
mouth-
I'm
But
saying?
what I want to say, what I want to point out to Glenn is that we keep talking about constitutional reform, and we keep saying, well, we want constitutional reform. This is what we want. But when are we gonna stop talking? When is enough? When
It's
is
enough.
enough?
Right.
Because we can't what is happening to our family, what is happening to our friends, what is happening to our neighbors, and when enough, when are we can't sit back and just wait on our
take to the
leaders
streets
to make the
protest
change.
the
We
way
as a
out.
we as a country, we as one people, we need to hold them responsible, and we need to demand the change. And again, I can't stress how much we need professionals to deal with victims. And
Hello.
somebody's on the
Take
line.
it.
Good night, caller. You're on Kaieteur Radio.
Yes, I respect that program y'all have there. That's very nice. And I notice things like that happen at the police station. You have a problem, and the police then don't take the statement because maybe it's the friend. 'Cause I had a problem like that. My niece had a child father, and every time I go to the station, you don't get to know justice at Grove Police Station.
Which
Mel?
station? Caller?
True to my niece, and the man is the police them is friend. There's not taking no report. They're telling this is family problem.
It's a normal thing. It happens all the time, and this is something that's happening all the time. Once the individual is known to the police or is known to having friends, big friends in the police, they don't take the report.
So, is there any advice you would like to give the woman? I
But-
would suggest
I would suggest that you go to
the
police
commissioner.
complain.
No, go to the commissioner's office and stand up and be bold and say, listen, Commissioner of Police, I'm here to make a report. I've been going to the station, and tell him the station and say, listen, they are not taking my report.
And as Melly just said, there is
And if you don't get any satisfaction, you can call us here at Kaieteur News.
Yes.
When they're done, they're laughing at you. They laugh at you. They make fun of you.
There's a police complaints authority as well, caller. Melly, you were just going to talk a little about that.
Yeah, I was saying, if you go to the station and you don't think I know a woman that's, I think she's in charge here at police complaint, and she has been very, very helpful and efficient when it comes to me sending persons to complain and to make complaints against police officers, especially when they go to take the reports and they're not taking reports and all that kind of thing. And I just want to say, this is what a way to start March. This is Women's Month, and this is how we begin the month with a woman being sexually assaulted. There need to be more done for women that for women and children that are being sexually assaulted and abused.
I don't think it's right what they do. The police then let a man go like that. It's not looking good in woman for woman. It's not looking good.
No, but he was rearrested. He is in custody right now.
He's currently at the
So don't worry about it.
Stay on the issue.
Okay, have a blessed night.
Thank you. You too.
Caller.
This is a topic. This is a topic needs to be.
It's prevalent.
Yes,
in
and we
society.
need to
And we need to
talk more.
Glenn, it's
Get
not just
more,
it's not just the lack of laws, but it's the lack of support for these victims
Yes.
as well.
I agree.
Yes.
It's the
We
lack
need
of
to have
support for
more
these victims,
awareness.
lack of training as it relates to counselor and the kind of police force and all of that is we have to somebody's on there
Yeah, take it.
online.
Hi, caller. You're on Kaieteur Radio.
Hi, good night. I have one more point to add. I called earlier.
Go
I
ahead.
think Guyana needs a standard, and not a standard that only suits a certain set of people, but should govern the entire country and not suit, oh, this is my friend, so I'll make this adjustment to suit this friend, or this is my family member. They need to be standard within the police force. And not only for persons that are vulnerable, but that governs the entire country, because there's too much slackness that's happening within the police force that persons turn a blind eye to. And it should not be happening. With standards, because there are times persons come to the United States to visit, and such, their family member tells them, hey, this is this, and this is the laws, and they follow it, and it's not a problem. But when we go back again, we're so used to having that, oh, but this is my friend, and I should maneuver within that and work something out for my friend. This should not be happening. You do the crime, you go to court, you face the charges, and such. It should be standard to handle situations, and not have picking which persons or which persons that should and should not be prosecuted. There should be standards, and standards that governs the entire country. And when police officers are fined with breaking these laws to suit their friends or family members, there should be consequences to that, because too many women are suffering because, oh, but this was my friend, I'm not going to take the report, and pushing persons around. This should not be happening at all.
I hear you.
And yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Someone has to be a voice for women out here. Someone, some unit, some agency, something more ought to be done. Too many women are suffering, whether it's violence.
We have a lot of NGOs and we have a lot of women activists out there, but I think as well as
government, from the government perspective, the NGOs.
In terms of the government,
yes, the NGOs are there, yes, but what is the government doing? What more can be done?
Well, true, and then sometimes the work is so much firm, and there's only so much you can take. Like with Yano, like we try to have like professionals on speed dial, professionals on board to always give a word of advice. We have lawyers, we have counselors and so. But again, there's only so much. One person. There's only so much I can do. There's only so much Yana can do for victims. I'm always looking and begging for help for victims and for people and for children, and I do a lot.
Yeah, I know
I still feel as though I don't do enough, because there's so many situations that comes to me, and so many things that I deal with daily that I try to help. Sometimes it's overwhelming.
Yes, yeah. I understand. And I want to applaud you, Mel, for the work that you're doing and all that, the effort. And even before meeting you, I heard of you through the work that you're doing. And so we need, as a government, we need to do more and let our women know that they're important. They're important to the home, to the society, to the profession, to our children. And women ought to understand that, they're not alone out there, and all the suffering, some sort of education or something ought to be done, and let them know.
I think we as women, if we come together, we can definitely make a change. As a society as a whole, we can definitely make a change. We need to see men as well playing a bigger role.
Yes.
Men. Please, I want to encourage you to be a part of your daughter, your daughter's life, your children's life. Please, that is very important that you are there, not just for financial support, but emotionally and mentally, that you're there for your kids. We need men to be out there playing that father role in their kids' life more. We need to encourage that. We need to encourage that bond between fathers and their daughters and their son, and they need the father.
Yes, I agree with that.
One thing I wanted to mention is that last month, the Human Services Ministry launched a 914 helpline for persons who have faced abuse. And we don't know how effective this will be. We have so many toll-free numbers that we try to call and sometimes they don't work out well. The person answering the line does not give us the proper reception that we're supposed to get, like the 911s and the 912s.
Yes.
And it all comes back to the point that it takes a community.
The systems.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Effective
takes a
is the
community. We
system.
need, I mean, let me just say this. There's corruption all over the world. Corruption all over. But we as women, we as a society, we need to stand up. We need to come out. We need to start holding those in authority accountable for their actions.
Yes.
And that is what we need to do. We need to ensure, and the only way we can move forward, or we can get anything done, is if we start holding those in authority, we start calling them out, and we start holding them responsible.
Yes.
We need to demand the change. We need to ensure, and we need to be persistent, and we need to be consistent, and we need to have regular talks. We need to bring situation like this, issues like this to the forefront.
Right.
Let people know this is what is happening, this is what is going on. Like for me, I've been trying to get the attention of whoever, whether it's the Ministry of Armed Affairs, whoever, about what is happening in the interior to our young girls, 13 and 12 giving birth. You hear about, a 13-year-old pregnant for her father, but then you don't hear anything. Was he charged? Was he placed before the court? Was he sentenced? You don't hear anything else about the matter until another incident comes up. And this is happening, and then we just hear, it's their culture, or it's their thing. But it's only their culture because nobody is doing anything about it. That is why it's a culture, and because nobody is teaching them, nobody is telling them that this is wrong. If we have people going into those areas and those hinterland areas, we have probation officer there that is we're sensitizing them, we're educating the young girls that no, it's not right for the father to be sleeping with them, or the cousin to be sleeping with them, or mothers to be sleeping with their sons, and these things is not right. And like I said, it's only a culture because we are condoning
Yes.
it. The ones that are supposed to be doing, that are supposed to do something about it, is doing nothing about it. Those in authority are doing nothing about it. The ministry is not doing anything about it. I would have hoped that Schumann, as an Amerindian, he would have been out there fighting for these children and these people back in the interior, in the interland area. But I haven't heard anything from him. I was very, I was like, he's an Amerindian, and he come to the forefront. He's gonna, he's in parliament, he's there, he's going to try to bring these issues that are facing these women and these children and these communities to the forefront. And I've yet to hear anything, but yet we see the same occurrences, government after government, and not just under the PP, under the AP and UAFC as well. We continue to see the same incidents happening. We continue to see these perpetrators are not being charged. And I say this, I made a post about this the other night. I said, you go into those community and you jail the first 100 pedophiles, because that's what you call them, pedophiles. Yes. You to be sleeping with your 12-year-old, 13-year-old daughter, or your niece, or your uncle sleeping with his 12 or 13-year-old niece. Those are pedophiles. You jail the first 200 and watch how quick the culture will change. Yeah. The culture, as they claim, is their culture. Watch how quick the culture will change.
Mel,
hold the police, the police that are in the interior, that the family are paying off or taking bribes, because this happened. This is what is happening. That the family are paying bribes or taking off. That the uncle going and pay when they rape a 12 or 13-year-old. They give the police money and the matter drop and all that. Start holding these police accountable.
Yes.
Start holding them accountable. Mel, if possible, start charging them for not doing the job.
Okay. Having listened to you and Ms. Barker, much more needs to be said on these type of topics, especially women issues. How about I facilitate a special program at least once a week or even twice a week. It depends. We can work on that. So in which we can have this type of discussions. You have a women's group.
Of course, Glenn, I'm always open to having. I'm always open to having these conversations. I want to have this. I'm always open to having this conversation.
In which women can learn. Mm-hmm. You see, we need to. You have a call? we need to educate them. We need to let them know their rights.
Also, we need to let the public know what is happening right
Right,
under our
right,
nose.
right.
There is so much that is happening, that is going on, that is not there, that people is not even aware that is happening. I know of a village over the river, Glen, and I'm telling you, during this pandemic, I've learned so much about, because I've been in all these villages and all these places that are rampant, that all these rape and little girls are being molested and all these things are happening, and it's just a normal thing. I know of a particular village over the river. When you go into this village, Glenn, the police officers are there selling these pills and these things to the girl. I know of one particular police officer. I wouldn't say, I can't say because I don't have the evidence and I don't want a lawsuit. But I know of one or two particular police officers that is known for selling drugs in that particular area, and it's a normal thing. When you go to that village, Glenn, I was telling a friend of mine from Rights of the Child that, you know, they should send in somebody undercover, like just a normal person to the village, just to see what happens there on the weekend, in the night, during the week. How it's like it's you, Glenn Lall, I don't think that you will think that you're in Guyana. It's a whole community by itself that just drugs, alcohol, rape, sex, underage girls, underage kids. And the police over the river are very involved, and they're very aware of what is happening in these villages. And nobody is doing anything about it. And that is why I say those in authority those that are there in authority, that, you know, they just sit in the office and they're not going out into the fields and looking. They're not sending investigators out. Send people out to these villages. You would be amazed at what you would uncover that is happening right here in Ghana. Not even in the interior. The interior is a whole nother need a divine intervention. But right here in the city in Georgetown, in those outskirts, those village over the river, or Burbies village, those communities, send social workers out there, send investigators out there, and you will, Glenn, you would be amazed at what is happening. 14-year-old and 15-year-old living home with big men, 35, 40 people, men that could be their father, all because of poverty.
So let me ask.
And nobody is doing anything about it. We're just okay with it.
Let me ask, would you be willing to put on this show to expose and help to educate women?
Of course, Glenn.
We can get going with that.
All right, definitely. You know, sometimes, Mr. Lall, we might come on air and we have conversations, but then we don't have a conversation about putting forth a solution. So it's very good that we are putting forward a solution.
Yes. And of course, I've constantly, like, I've given, look how much proposal I've put out there tonight, that if anybody's in authority that is listening, these are things that they can do. These are things that can be done. I am willing. Jan is willing, because we have so many proposals that we have been working on with professionals that we've been writing that we would like to submit. Like, these are things like when it comes to sexual harassment in the workplace and all these things, we have no law that is governing women as it relates to sexual assault in the workplace and all these things. All these things we need to start looking at, and this is how we start protecting our women. This is how we one step at a time, but we can get it done. But we can only get that done if we as a society demand the change. If we are consistent and if we're persistent and we demand that those in authority. Constitutional reform. We should have been. It's been a year. We aren't hearing anything about constitutional reform.
Especially in that area.
All right.
We need constitutional reform. We are demanding that we have constitutional reform.
More
All right.
protection
Thank you
for our
very
women.
much. So we're wrapping up to the final minutes. Mr. Lall, you are the man of the hour. I am going to ask you to give your final comments on this very, very important issue. Go ahead, sir.
It's not important, Kimal. It's very sad. It is so sad that I believe what transpired with that woman, we should have a full and comprehensive investigation and let us get everything out. The neighbors have said enough. The neighbors are willing to talk. The residents are willing to talk. And I want to tell the police force they need to go and speak to the residents. There's lots more that transpired yesterday that they are willing to speak to the police. And I want to thank that cricketer for the bold stance he took with that granny. Like I said, if you guys want a special program,
yes, of course. I just want to say, let me just in closing,
I'll open the floor and let you guys have it.
Let me just say
I
this.
I just want to tell all the victims that Kaieteur News is open. Kaieteur News is ready to listen and to be with you and to expose
If they want to come
every
forward.
harm you would have suffered by the hands of that individual. Good night to all of you, Guyana, and thanks for listening.
I just want to say in closing, the theme for this it's March and it's Women Month, and the theme for this month is choose to change. I want individuals, I want your family, your friends, I want neighbors, I want you guys to choose to say something. Like how do you know they said the neighbors, they were hearing these girls coming in and out, and choose to say something, choose to speak up, choose to demand that those in authority do more to protect and to protect our women. Choose to say something if you see something. If you see something fishy, choose to teachers, choose to be more involved in these kids. Question them about what's happening at home.
Right.
If you notice that something is off or something is not right with a child in your class or so, choose to say something. Choose to bring these issues. Choose to bring these matters to the forefront.
Yes. In wrapping up, I would like to say that as a teacher too, I do know that we have that good relationship with the Child Protection Agency, and we do our best to, whenever we see victims coming in, we make them aware of what's happening. We do our investigation. We call in the parents, and we take a proactive approach towards our victims and whatever they, we don't wait until a child is pregnant or whatever. If we see a child, it did not turn up at 9 o'clock for school, we call the parents. It's 9:30, the child is not here. Where is the child? Did the child leave for school? And that's the approach I know that my school takes.
One
I
other
can't
thing,
speak for
we need
other
to start
schools.
educating teachers to start looking for signs,
Yes.
for signs that these children are in a troubled home, for signs that maybe they are being molested at home, for signs that something is off at home. So we need to start also with our education system and educating teachers on how to start looking for signs. We need to also introduce sexual education at a very, very young age for children, because we see these monsters out there. We see these pedophiles.
Yes.
They're troubling babies. So from the time that they can recognize that they can talk, and you can start teaching them about their sexuality and who's not supposed to touch them, who's not supposed to do what. We need to start educating them on that as well.
Definitely. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you for having me, Glenn.
And we hope to
Thank you for
continue the
having me too.
conversation.
This conversation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good
And
night.
thank you for
Good night.
tuning in.
Good night, listeners.